Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about how trading is not a get-rich-quick scheme, and we're going to emphasize the importance of how it's going to take a little bit of time to actually develop the skill that we call trading. Like the intro video, we have DMP as well.
How's it going? How's it going?
Yeah, we're going to start off with the first point, and the first point is going to be that trading is not gambling. So we can basically kind of compare this to the casino. In the casino, you're basically going there to gamble, and you're expecting to put $500 on black and expecting to make a bunch of money, or potentially lose the $500. That is not what we're. That's not the mindset that we want to have coming into trading. We want to basically approach trading with a statistical edge and understand that there's a fine line between actually gambling and then having an edge in the market. There's many sports bettors out there that claim that have an edge in the market and they're profitable, and not to harp on anyone else's money making scheme, but it's definitely possible to have an edge in the market, and that's exactly what we're trying to teach in this course. It's going to be how to have an edge in the market. DMP, what do you want to say about trading is not gambling?
Basically it's very important, if you can build a very solid edge in the market, long term you're going to beat it. If you just collect your data and collect your stats over the course of even just a year of following rules, trading the same, approach every day, whether that be the same model or just the same, concepts, you will notice that long term it's far more consistent than if, you were betting on player props and whatnot. And it just comes down to, a lot of factors. The concepts that we teach are basically helping you be on sides with institutions and big money. So, we talk about things that institutions are using, such as, stop raids and liquidity hunts and et cetera, which we'll talk about, further on into the course. But, overall, it's important to understand that building an edge is possible within trading. I like to compare it to poker. There are a lot of successful poker players, and they're successful just because of the edge that they build. And the one thing about them is they all have a unique edge. So when you come into trading, you will try to piggyback off of your mentor's edge, which will be me and Jan. And then over time, you will start to use that and define your own like unique edge in the market, and start approaching the market in that way and seeing results.
Yep, I completely agree with everything he just said. Um, we just want to work on getting an edge in the market and then just staying consistent with it.
Right.
Second bullet that we have is emotions definitely play a big factor when trading. So when we're going to be dealing with money of a decent amount of size, so we're talking hundreds to thousands of dollars, we're going to see that number change a lot on our screen very quickly, and it's very important as beginner traders to try and detach away from the money as soon as we start trading. So that's why we're going to have this course set up where you're going to be basically paper trading for the first month to 2 months, and that's going to have zero effect on your psychology whatsoever, but it's going to teach you that you can actually trade without having money like backing you and on the line, so that when you go to transition into an actual funded account, the transition is minimal. But definitely emotions play a huge factor, and it comes in many different forms, whether that be closing the trade too early or moving your stop loss. There's many different factors that play into emotions, and we'll definitely cover it a lot more in psychology. But understanding that you need to be super disciplined in this industry is one of the top things. If you're not disciplined, you won't make it far. The one thing that I want to leave you guys with and tell you guys is that I always compare trading to basically the gym. So if you want to see progress in the gym and you want to see like results, it's 70% really your diet and then 30% working out. You can't outwork your diet, and that's basically the same thing with trading. Is if your psychology is not in check and you're just taking random trades and you're blowing accounts, your strategy won't outperform it. So you might be the best trader in the world, but your psychology is terrible. You won't make money long term. You may hit a few, big trades here and there, but your psychology is the biggest factor, 100%.
Yeah, so emotions, once you start off, emotions are going to be a big thing that you're going to have trouble trying to regulate. In my case, from personal experience, I've dabbled with sports betting and dabbled with things that have caused me to lose, various amounts of money. So for me, the attachment to money was never there. But as Jan said, when you come in and you see those numbers changing and those numbers are relatively, big for, what you're used to, it's going to cause you to, emotionally manage trades. You may not hold winners. You may, hold your losers and try to, over leverage or, just try to ensure a win in the market. And, overall, time is the only thing that's going to, fix your discipline and your emotions in the market. And even once you're, fully experienced and you've been consistent, you take payouts, you're going to still have, moments of tilt or moments of emotion. But it's important to, regulate them, journal them, vent about them. And, as your mentors, we're going to be available for you guys to, send trades or to speak about, your emotions within trading. Because it genuinely will end up like changing you as a person. It'll help you mature. And you'll have a different perspective just because of the actual grind that it takes in order to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, beautifully said. Perfect. Third point that we're going to talk about today is going to be self-accountability. So, like DMP was just talking about, we're going to hold you guys accountable, but it's also going to be up to you guys to hold yourself accountable. So, no one is going to be there while you're sitting in front of the computer and watching over exactly what you're doing. And us being your mentors, you can still lie to us, right? We're not going to 100% know the truth, but it's really up to you guys to hold yourself accountable, because you may say to us, like, oh, you didn't take a trade, and then you just reset your account and whatever, you're just trying to hide the fact that you blew up the account or whatever the case may be. That's only hurting yourself in the long run, and realistically it's damaging your psychology more and more, and you just basically dig yourself into a deeper hole. So self accountability is really, really big when it comes to trading. Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, you're gonna, you'll find it more satisfactory to be accountable. In the beginning, you're gonna, want to cope the losses or want to cope, with your performance. But on any given day, when you take a loss, you do need to reflect on, what you could have done different. So that way, going into the future, you try to make it a habit to avoid, doing those things that cause you to blow up or take heavy red days. For me personally, self accountability, I'd say, was one of the things that helped me progress a lot more. Just being aware of, when I'm taking bad trades, or being aware of when I'm involving risk in the market when, it's not probable whatsoever. And again, time is going to be a big factor into pretty much all of these points. Overall, it's going to all be time. So, if you're impatient, you're going to have to definitely learn patience, because this game is going to, it's going to test your patience more than anything you've done in your life, more than likely. Um, so yeah, I mean, self accountability, definitely one of the biggest things, and I'm probably gonna put significance on throughout the course, is just self accountability overall. On any given day, even if you take a winning trade, even if the trade was sloppy and it was a bad entry, even if it's a win, you still have to be able to tell yourself that that was an ideal trade to take, and make it a habit not to take trades like that, even though it resulted in a winner. It's gonna help you out in the future more than you'll understand. So I genuinely think accountability goes a long way in this game.
Yeah, we're definitely going to emphasize the importance of self accountability throughout this course. So definitely keep that in the back of your mind, fellas. And the last point that we're going to talk about today is just going to be back testing versus forward testing. So a lot of people in the industry are very fond of back testing, and DMP and I actually have a different approach. We like to back test only for the reason of like getting more familiar with your model. So the reason for backtesting that we don't like it is because it doesn't show you how the candles move in current time. You can see actually off to the left of your screen right now, the candles are printing in real time, and you can see that they're moving like slowly. And when you're backtesting, it just shows you the candle print like when it fully closed. Like you're not sitting through the minute of it actually forming. So backtesting doesn't really actually show you how to deal with your emotions and to manage like your emotions while you're inside of the trade. All that it's really used for, and what I recommend people doing, is only backtesting just to become familiar with their model and to really majority forward test to become familiar with how to manage your trades and manage your emotions while you're inside of your trades.
Right. Yeah. So backtesting. So as you guys go through the course, you'll realize that, we use concepts that are mechanical, but a lot of our trading, and pretty much 100% of our trading, is pure discretion. So with forward testing, you are going to be able to build your discretion a lot easier. As Jan mentioned, you can see the candles that are currently printing in live time. And with discretion, you're going to be able to understand based on candle movement if a trade is worth entering or not worth entering. And with back testing, you're just looking at just structure of the market, and you're essentially just collecting data on a model to know that it works and to see what the average win percent is going to be behind that model. But for me personally, I found a lot more success in forward testing. With back testing, I can easily maintain between a 75 to 80% win rate. But when it comes down to forward testing, the reality is more so 60% to 65%, and that's just due to you're actually looking at live market data. And when it comes down to historical data, you want to be looking at what the market's doing in real time with current economics. When you go and look at 2020, for example, obviously we had a lot of crazy things happening economically and just all over the world. So when you look at the market back then, it's going to look a whole lot different than the markets we're trading now. So I think it's more important to be on sides with the current market versus a historical market. With the exception of if you're looking at CPI days and wanting to see how CPI days play out in the market, or you're wanting to see how the market trades a week before Christmas or something of that nature, would be the only reasoning I would really use replay. But other than that, I think it's just better to forward test and you actually get the experience of seeing candles print and actually being able to read price action and build your discretion.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. I mean, back testing versus forward testing, there's definitely pros and cons to both, but
Right.
yeah, back testing is really just for learning your model. Forward testing is for really dealing with your emotions. And like I said before, I'm a firm believer that emotions and psychology plays about 70 to 80% factor when actually trading. So
Yep.
definitely want to be, emphasizing the importance of that.
Yep. And we'll be back testing occasionally through the server. So, I mean, for anyone that does want to back test, we will be doing that. But we will prioritize forward testing. And I think, it's going to benefit you guys a lot more. You'll come to realize. So definitely stay tuned for that.
Yep, perfect. So, anything else you want to add in for how it's not a get rich quick scheme?
Honestly, I think we covered like the strong basics of it. Yeah, I mean, you just gotta understand coming into this game, it's definitely gonna take you around a year to 2 years, and that's just to get proper footing in the game. It might take a little longer even to see a payout maybe or sooner. It really comes down to you and how bad you want it. For me personally, I've been trading for around a year and a half, and I've definitely seen immense progress in comparison to people in the space I've seen trading a lot longer. But that comes down to variance, and this is literally just a zero sum game. So variance is everywhere. It's on every corner you look at the game. There's variance, and that's just another point of variance. But yeah, I mean, a year to 2 years is where I'd say you'll see consistency. So as long as you can stick it out, I always like to say, I mean, a degree takes 4 years to get. And, if you go to school to be a doctor, it still takes you a couple years to become a full-fledged doctor. So, you can take a year, 2 years to learn candlesticks, if you can go to school or you can go to your job, for multiple years at a time. Because, 2 years in this game is definitely something that can pay you back, 10 times fold.
100%, yeah. And I also like to think of trading as basically like learning a new language, because you basically are learning how the market moves and how it basically like reacts to certain different things.
Right.
And if you can learn the skill set, I mean, you're golden. You basically beat inflation every single year, and you're not tied down to any job. So that's why trading is definitely one of the best fields to be in. It's one of the hardest fields to be in, but it's
Mm.
definitely one of the best.
Yeah, it gives you time freedom.
Yep, 100%. All right, fellas. So we will see you guys in the next video. Till then, take care.
Later.